Welcome back to All This Math, and I got my Clark Atlanta University sweatshirt on, so I just want to take a moment to shout out everybody that's attending Clark Atlanta University, everybody that's alumni from Clark Atlanta University, and also anybody that taught at Clark Atlanta University. And also, I definitely want to send a shout out to W.E.B. Du Bois, who was a professor at Atlanta University before Atlanta University merged with Clark College and it became Clark Atlanta University. All right, so let's get into this work for today. And also, before we go on, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at All This Math. And also, check us out on Instagram because we have content on Instagram as well, at All This Math. So subscribe to the Instagram and also make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. And also, when you finish watching this video, share it with somebody else that might benefit from it. All right. Now, today, we're going to talk about a word problem. And we're going to talk about some personal finance, right? Everyday math, right? This is that everyday math, that relevant math. There's no arguments, from people about whether we need to know how to do this, right? This particular problem deals with simple interest and calculating finance charges and also monthly payments on a purchase. Really, it's a loan. You're going to see when we read the problem. So the first thing you do with a word problem is you want to read the word problem, understand what information you're being told in the word problem, and also definitely understand what you're being asked to do in the word problem. So let's read it. This says you buy items costing $2,000 and finance the cost, right? With a simple interest fixed loan. So let me stop right there. When you finance something, that means you're not paying up front. You're not paying it. You're taking out a loan basically for all the items, and then you're going to pay the money back later or you're going to pay it back over time. That's what finance means, in case we don't know that. All right. So for 30 months, right? That means you got a 30-month time period to pay the loan off, right? You're going to be making monthly payments for 30 months at a 4% simple interest per year. So 4% simple interest, that's the interest rate that you're being charged, okay? Now, these are the two questions for us. Letter A, what is the finance charge? We got a formula for that. I'm going to show you step by step how to figure out what the finance charge is. Letter B, what is the monthly payment? I'm going to also show you how to do that, all right? Based on the information that we come up with. So first thing we want to do is you want to do this on your paper, right? If you have this printed out somewhere, you want to kind of identify the pertinent information, right? Because some information in this problem is more important than other information. So you buy items costing $2,000. That $2,000 is important. So I'm going to underline that. You finance the cost with a simple interest. Simple interest, that's important because it could be compound interest. In some problems, you'll deal with compound interest, right? But here in this particular problem, we're only dealing with simple interest. Compound interest requires a different formula, right? And also the money grows faster with compound interest. So simple interest, fixed loan, how long? 30 months. All right, so you got 30 months. That's important, all right? Also, 4% simple interest. That's also very important because that's your interest rate. So we got 4% simple interest per year. Now, to figure out the finance charge, what we're trying to figure out is the interest. We're trying to figure out the interest. So let me slide over here because I'm going to use this section of the board to do all the work, right? Now, there's a simple interest formula that we all should become familiar with. This is the simple interest formula. I'm going to write it down. It's I equals P times R times T. So take a moment and write that down. I equals PRT. I equals PRT. I stands for interest, right? Which is the same thing as the finance charge, the total amount of money, not the interest rate, not to be confused with the interest rate, which is 4%, but the actual cash. Like how much money are you paying in interest? Because money has a cost. So basically when you take out a loan, you're buying money or you're paying for money. You're paying for the right to borrow some money and use it for a certain period of time. All right. Now, this capital P, that's your principal. That stands for principal. That's the amount of money that you actually borrow, right? This lowercase r, that's your interest rate. This lowercase t, that's the amount of time in years. That's the amount of time in years. Now, notice I said in years. That's going to come into play very shortly. So what we're going to do is, because we want to know what I is, we don't know what I is. We want to know what I is because I is going to be our finance charge. I stands for interest, and the finance charge is the interest because when you finance something, you're taking out a loan. And unless you got a 0% interest loan, you got to pay for the right to borrow money or the right to take out a loan, right? So P is your principal. So P is the amount of money that you borrow up front. So P is going to be $2,000. It's $2,000 because you bought $2,000 worth of items and you didn't want to pay for it out of your checking account or your savings account. So you wanted to borrow the money, right? So basically, when you borrowing money from that store or from some bank or whoever, they're going to front you the money basically and cover the cost of everything that you're buying. And then you got to pay them back later. All right. So P is going to be 2,000. So we're going to do I equals, replace the letter P with 2,000. Right? And I'm going to put it in parentheses because these three are going to be multiplied by each other. So I'm going to use parentheses to show separation between the three different values. Right? So that's 2,000. The R is the interest rate. The interest rate is 4%. Now, you don't just put the 4 in the place of the R. This is what you always got to do. You got to represent a percentage in non-percentage format. So you got to convert it into a different form by taking that percentage and dividing by 100. Always remember to do that. You got to divide by 100. So 4 divided by 100 is 0.04. Always remember to convert your percentages into decimal format or at least non-percentage format, right? So you're going to have times 0.04. All right. Now the T. Now this is where a lot of people get caught up. A lot of people get caught up in this part, right? T represents time. T is the first letter in the word time. T represents time, but it's time in years. It's time in years. A lot of people will get this problem wrong because they straight take this 30, throw it right in there, and then start multiplying. They will be wrong because it's not 30 years. It's not 30 years, right? It's 30 months. So what you got to do, right? What everybody got to do, and this is, I'm telling you, focus on this part because this is the part where a lot of people get caught up. They don't convert the months into years. So you got to think to yourself, how many years is 30 months? How many years is 30 months? Now, I'm going to straight tell you, 30 months is 2.5 years because 24 months is 2 years because it's 12 months in 1 year, 24 months in 2 years, 36 months is 3 years, but we only going up to 30 months. So that's 24 months plus 6 months. 6 months is a half of a year, right? So that's 2 years plus a half of a year. That's 2.5 years, right? So remember, the letter T represents time in years, not in months. All right, so we're going to do 2.5. Now, in case that was a little too, I don't know, cerebral or too confusing for you, I'm going to give you a formula to use. So always be able to convert months into years. Convert months into years. You take the number of months, in this case 30. I got my calculator out right here, right? All right, 30, and you're going to divide it by 12. Because what we're trying to see is how many groups of 12 months can fit into 30 months. And that tells us how many years because every year is 12 months. Every year is 12 months, right? So if you do 30 divided by 12, the calculator even going to tell you it's 2.5. So that's why we got 2.5 right here. So now to find the interest or the finance charge, we're going to multiply these three numbers. So we take 2,000, boom, hit the multiplication button, do 0.04. Make sure you don't do 0.4. That's another common error. We're not doing 0.4. We're doing 0.04. All right? That's going to give us 80. And then we got to multiply that by 2.5. That gives us 200. So basically, because we want to borrow money, instead of pay this out of pocket, we got to pay $200 in finance charges. So I hope it's worth it. If you are in a real life situation and you're trying to decide, like, should I use cash? Should I use my own money or should I take out this loan real fast, right? And sometimes it's a good decision to take out a loan. That's called debt financing, right? Sometimes it's a good decision. A lot of times it's a bad decision, though. But you got to be able to do some type of mathematical analysis to figure out if it's a good idea or not. Because you might say, you know what? If I take this loan for this $2,000 right here, and then I pay 200 in interest, let's say you had the $2,000 in the bank, just chilling, right? But let's say you got an opportunity to make an investment with that same $2,000. You could take that same $2,000 and invest it, flip it, buy into something, right? And then what if that pays you out more than this? Then that means that's a good opportunity. That means it's a good thing to take out the loan for the 2,000 instead of just, paying it with the cash. Because with that cash, you can do something that's more valuable with it and make more money off of that cash, right? Again, debt financing. So This is the answer to letter A. What is the finance charge? $200. So your finance charge is $200. We use the simple interest formula. I equals P times R times T. The principal times the interest rate times the time. Boom, we got that. Now, let's go to letter B. Letter B says, what is the monthly payment? What is the monthly payment? Now, what we do is, in order to figure out the monthly payment, we take the principal, which was $2,000, right? Let me just write monthly payment, abbreviation, right? We take the $2,000 that you borrowed first. We add the finance charge because you got to pay that back too, right? So it's going to be $2,000 plus the $200, right? And then we got to divide that by the number of months that you have to pay it off. You got 30 months. You took out a simple interest fixed loan for 30 months. That means fixed meaning that this interest rate is not going to change, right? There's some type of loans out here where like 1 month your interest will be 4%. Next month it'll be 10%. Another month it'll go down to 2%. You know, that's variable. This is fixed. It's always going to be 4%. That's what fixed means. I should have said that earlier. But you're going to divide this by 30 because you're taking this whole amount and you're dividing it into 30 equal pieces. 30 equal pieces. And that is going to be your monthly payment. That's going to be your monthly payment. So we go back to the calculator. We're going to simplify the numerator first. We're going to do 2,000 plus 200. I don't need to put that in the calculator. That's straight 2,200, right? So we put in 2,200 and we're going to divide by 30. And that's going to give us $73.33. So that's your monthly payment. And that's your second answer. All right. So our finance charge was $200 total, right? Over the course of 30 months. Remember, don't forget when you're putting in T into your formula, don't forget to change the months into years, right? 30 months is equivalent to 2.5 years. All right. Then for letter B, what's the monthly payment? You take the principal that you started out with, the original amount of money that you borrowed, and then you add that to the finance charge. That gives you $2,200 total. You're going to divide that by the number of months you have to pay it off. So every single month, you're going to pay $73.33. All right. So I hope that was helpful. Again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also share this video. If you feel as though it was helpful, share it with some other people, have them subscribe too. And also follow us on Instagram at All This Math because we got content on Instagram as well. All right. Until next time, peace.